So today I'm going to talk about boundaries, a phenomenon called narcissism, and I'm also going to talk about how everybody's journey, everybody's karma is so unique and different, which is why we cannot homogenize spiritual advice. So first I want to talk about boundaries and the sense of healing yourself from living in almost unhealthy empathy. So I in my life had such a diffused, almost extremely unhealthy sense of no self that I could not tell the difference between myself and other people, like physically, emotionally. Usually in the realm of thought, I could always distinguish myself from others. Although on occasion in relationships, I would mistaken someone's opinion of me with my own opinion of me, which is a real trip. Um, And so I was so merged with my environment, and restoring my sense of self has been a very intense journey. And a lot of what I talk about on this channel is what I've learned on that journey. And so first I want to address, I talk about non-dual awakening on this channel. I had a spontaneous non-dual awakening. Cosmic egg cracked. I lived in a state of pure bliss for 2 years, and then the descent of grace came into my being, and the Kundalini rose up and started uh, cleaning out my chakras. And the purpose of Kundalini is to actually become the divine individual. The individual, right, is not a fiction of the mind. The individual is a manifestation of the divine. It's a unique combination, an ever evolving combination of elements. And some people are more fiery, some people are more salt of the earth, some people are more ethereal. And all of the desires that we have are, we could say God's desires for us. But when you know yourself to be that intelligence, you could say that your desires and God's desires, your will and God's will are one. So Kundalini, really, it destroys anything. It amplifies anything inside of you that is unhealed to bring you to equilibrium, to balance your system, to bring you to a place of wholeness and health. And it exaggerates anything that is unhealed almost to a preposterous degree so that the soul can discard it like the immune system discards a virus. And so my nitty gritty experience of that journey is what I share on this channel. So the non-dual awakening, our fundamental nature is loving awareness. And yes, that is true, but we are, like I said, being this divine emanation, this individual self. And what we need right now in order to evolve is very specific to our journey. So I've spoken a lot on this channel about what I call doormat karma, which is a person like myself who is essentially boundaryless, who had a high tolerance for abuse, maybe even confused love for being abuse, for accepting abuse in your life. And if you study spirituality and you get deeper into forgiveness and read about compassion, those spiritual teachings can work on you to trick you in a way to make you stay stuck in doormat karma, where you are allowing violence into your life. And in my personal life, I can tell you, this is the reason why one of the reasons why people might attract sexual abuse, rape, is because you have a high tolerance for being uncomfortable. And so instead of allowing the discomfort to be a signal to you to change, to make a move, you withstand it, and you withstand it until it gets to a point that can be very chaotic and destructive. So not holding your boundaries can cause a lot of serious damage in your life, right? So boundaries, it's been interesting for me to observe how difficult it has been for me to say, for example, if I have a I've been in relationship where if I have an argument with someone, I'll try to make a boundary and say, okay, for right now, then I think I want to be alone, or I want you to maybe stay away from me physically. And the person will like make an advance on me anyway. And I just let it, I acquiesce. And it's not like they're really, it's not like they're being violent, but like in that moment, I destroyed myself. I did not honor the boundary. I didn't honor the boundary. And we do this as well when we make excuses for friends you've had for a long time that had terrible childhoods. That, you know, it doesn't matter what kind of childhood someone had. It doesn't matter how hard you understand and how much freaking compassion you have for someone. If they're still showing up in a way that's violent, that's disrespectful, or that's, you know, that's viscerally uncomfortable for you, you know, it's actually quite foreign for many people to say, well, I don't need to withstand this anymore. And it's so essential. The ability to do that is directly related to your ability to make money. It's directly related to so much prosperity that you want, for opportunities to come in, because if you don't believe you deserve to receive basic baseline comfort, imagine what that means in other departments of your life. How much money do I deserve? How comfortable do I deserve to be? Do I deserve to be struggling? If struggle and discomfort is all I know, and it's showing up in relationship by me choosing to allow people in my life that are even sadistic, what do I believe about myself? I must withstand this to be a good person. I need to withstand this. The guilt that you feel when you try to walk away is an echo of the belief that you believe you are like a filthy human being for daring to say no to someone. That's really harsh. That's a very harsh way to think about a boundary. And yet, many people who are healing from unhealthy empathy, that's how they feel about a boundary. And people will tell me like, oh, my partner abuses my children, or my partner locks me in one room of my house, or, you know, and like just to get them to say out loud that that to get them to acknowledge that this is wrong, this is off, this isn't right, I don't deserve this, this is in fact not okay. Just getting somebody to say that begins a healing process, often even for physical ailments. Oh, they start to purge all this bullshit about believing that they need to withstand like so much discomfort in their lives. So, what does this have to do with, you know, the premise of this video is being that everyone's karma is different. What a person like myself needs might be very different than what another person needs to evolve. I have compassion for people. I understand people. That muscle I can flex. The muscles that I have to develop in this life were more so, okay, I have to trust, first of all, that if I have the courage to walk away from something, that I'll be okay. That if I walk out of the familiar, even if there's nothing, which is an illusion, there's never nothing. There's never nothing. If you, I just want to say this with so much uh, intensity. If you do what's right for your soul, just don't worry about a goddamn thing. You're golden. You're okay. You're doing it. You're abundant. You're incredible. Good for you. You're doing it. You can bet your little bottom that you're going to be okay, because you're fulfilling one of the reasons for being, which is to bring yourself into equilibrium so that you can really rest in a state of wholeness. How can you rest in a state of wholeness if you're always allowing sadistic type of behavior in your life, chaotic behavior in your life. And of course, we have to take responsibility for our own chaos and our own sadism. If we are masochistic, often we have an inner sadist that's incredibly cruel to ourselves. Let's just, everything's a hologram. So while, yes, creating boundaries and having courage to walk away from physical conditions is absolutely part of your healing, is also realizing like the part of me, forget your childhood, the part of me that even attracted those parents is because I already have a dynamic within me that I'm cruel to myself. And so therefore I attract people who are cruel to me. It's not because I was used to it in my childhood. It's a wound of the soul. And the screen of light of life reveals to you the wounds of the soul. It's our job. A fragmented soul cannot fulfill its purpose. It's our job to put ourselves back together. And person with this kind of karma, putting yourself back together, making yourself an individual, is being able to walk away from situations. And by the way, this is also self-esteem. Being able to walk away from situations, even if they are inconvenient, even if there's nothing that your physical senses can count on that will help you, save you, no visible safety net. Self-respect is getting the fuck away from it anyway. So what a person like myself needs in order to evolve is narcisando, is to be more narcissistic, more selfish, in a way to sometimes push a lot of, I've had to remove a lot of people from my life because I literally created a universe where much of what I surrounded myself with was unkind to myself. I'm pleased to say I have the most beautiful friends. Please don't be afraid. People are afraid to let go of what they're used to because they don't think anything will take its place. I absolutely freaking guarantee you that when you honor the soul and when you love yourself enough to walk away from something that is hurting you, even when you have no proof that it'll work out in spades. And what you feel about yourself, that's an eternal thing. It's independent of the conditions. I feel good about who I am. I had the balls to walk away. I had the balls to say no. So someone like me needs to narcissate, right? To even be direct when I speak sometimes. To, and you don't need to create boundaries, like a bully. You can say everything with love, but love is not always lovey-dovey, because let me tell you something. When a person that was a doormat starts to narcissate, a lot of the egos in your vortex, a lot of the egos around you are not going to like it, because their image of themselves relates to an image they project onto you, and they don't want your ego to change. Because if you become empowered, I remember when I started claiming my mastery. I am brilliant at what I do, at helping other people. I am really good at what I do. And when I started like acknowledging that in my energy, the souls in my life who are connected to love and connected to their souls acknowledged it, celebrated it. But the egos in my life that wanted me to stay disempowered so that they could fulfill their role as being superior to me, or people I used to pedestalize that I no longer pedestalize. I don't pedestalize anyone. I don't care what psychic gifts, what channeling gifts, whatever, whoever you are, however prosperous you are. I don't care. It doesn't equate to me that anything is better than me. And guess what? That's a huge evolution for my soul. When I started to claim myself as having value, some of the egos in my life, I mean, they call me arrogant. They call me, I don't know, it's like, wow, you've changed. Like, they got really agitated because they are identified with the ego that wants me to stay trapped in the ego state that I was in. When you are in touch with your soul, and let's say even I cross somebody's boundary, because I'm in touch with my real self, if they fight back and put me in my place and be like, hey, you crossed the boundary for me, And let me tell you why. Like, it might like feel hard to hear, but I still applaud them because I'm like, good for fucking you. Good for you, baby. I applaud people that do what's right for them, even when it might wound my ego for a minute. You know what I mean? So, other people's karma might be to like learn compassion, learn to understand other people. I mean, the nodes are a great example. I have a North Node in Aries, which is like, go for what you want, be direct, you know, focus on yourself and what you want. You're already South Node in Libra, you're already good at caring for others. You're already good at considering everyone. You're already good at being a peacemaker. You're already good at mediating. You're good at that already. What are you being stretched into? That's the real question. That's the $1,000,000 question. And are you willing to go for that without apologizing or explaining or justifying it? That's self-esteem. But other people might be the opposite. They might be more on like the narcissistic spectrum kind of thing. By the way, if we attract narcissists, we have an internal narcissist. So this is not about blame. Narcissist, empath are like the same thing on in different poles in a way. But people that are more like super judgmental and they don't easily have understanding and compassion, their journey, their evolution might be to really learn to open the heart more, really learn to open the heart and to relax the judgmental mind, relax the tendency to create space. The unconscious feminine, the unhealed empath, doesn't have a healthy sense of space, whereas the narcissist often creates space by judging, or sometimes by being avoidant, by withdrawing love, by punishing. It's different, but like everybody's evolution, like what somebody needs, what it looks like for you to evolve might look totally different than what it might look like for me to evolve. And all of this, by the way, like owning your journey and not justifying or explaining or defending it is called boom, self-esteem. Self-esteem. Like, I love myself where I am as I am, even if where I am is to my ego unlovable. Like I shared a story about when I was struggling really badly with an eating disorder. The day that I started to really heal was the day that I said to myself, if I never heal from this and I'm always have this issue, could I love myself? Could I just love myself the way I am with this addiction, with this, challenge? And my soul said, yes, Alex, yes, that's it. You're getting it. You're getting it. Something that to my ego felt so unlovable and so despicable because I had gone through cancer. I had gone through so much already. So to be still harming myself felt really shameful for me. And I started to say, you know what? It is what it is. I am where I am and I can't be anywhere else. And so my only choice is to hate myself, to continue to hate myself, and therefore attract and allow all kinds of violence in my life. Or I can say, you know what? I'm good enough as I am. It is what it is. I'm doing my best. It's okay. Self esteem is I love myself where I am and I own the journey that I'm on and I revere the journey that I'm on. And when life says leave the relationship, I have the courage to do it. When life says spend your money in this way, go on this trip, spend a month in Paris, go back to Paris, spend another month in Paris, and everybody in my world is like, why are you doing this? This is selfish. But spirit is just like, this is just where we're going. And self-esteem is just to be in agreement with what is the current moving through me is, okay, go here, go here, go here. And there might be egos in your environment that say, no, 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 you're wrong. You're wrong. This isn't right. This is not acceptable. You're foolish. Self-esteem is to be like, well, I, think what you may, but my life is about how I feel about me and how much I trust the life current running through me. So, yeah, boundaries are so incredibly important in the sense that if you don't hold them, I mean, I can tell you in my own life, when I haven't held boundaries, I have experienced terrible things. and to observe. And I have compassion for how difficult it can be to holding a boundary. Could be even if you're on the phone with someone and they are maybe like talking about negativity, maybe complaining about their life. I have like and I'm still adjusting this within myself, but like I have like a limit inside myself where I can listen and listen. I can listen. I'm a very good listener, but I come to a place where I'm either going to offer you a solution or I'm going to disconnect, because at a certain point now I'm just drinking the poison. I, I I started by creating a shield of light, like if I'm at a Christmas party or if I'm at a place and like people are gossiping, but I don't necessarily want to get up, I'll just create a shield of light, bounce off me. But in my life, I have to exercise like pretty regularly. Like, okay, like saying I feel like I need to go now. Like I'm tired or I can't continue to have this conversation. Anything that you say to create a boundary can be said with love. And love is not always kind and soft and fluffy. Sometimes love is direct. Sometimes I've told a person many times that they're crossing a boundary and they don't stop. So I'm like, listen to me. I'm not going to say this again. It's up to you the way that you respond this time, but like, this is what it is. I said, stop it. So, not respecting your boundaries is like allowing your vessel to be filled with poison. And then you wonder why you're sick, or you attract cruel people, or your financial situation doesn't get better. It has everything to do with your self-worth. And exercising self-worth in the physical world is very much about the ability to say, okay, I've reached my limit, enough is enough. To exercise, you don't need to often, when we don't know that we can say something with love, we let something escalate to a chaotic level so that we have the excuse to get in a fight with someone and to cut them off. But that's not necessary. If you have trouble communicating your boundaries with stability and love, just imagine that you're in a column of light and feel your heart and ask that your heart speak. Ask that your heart speak to the person, like, okay, listen, I've asked you enough times. I'm so sorry, but I can't allow this in my life anymore. There's always a way that love can speak through you. I know that we're afraid, a lot of us, like, because we're afraid to be bad people. And really what's terrible is destroying ourselves. So, long story short, on the journey to equilibrium and wholeness, it's like if you've had an eating disorder, if you've lived in restriction your whole life, you have to refeed yourself, right? You might for a period of time have to eat a little more than usual. When you've been so unhealthily selfless, you might have to be a little more selfish than usual. You might have to cut a lot of people out of your life. You might have to do a number of things that people might have opinions about, that might even feel a little bit harsh to you for a little while. Yeah. You might have a little villain era kind of thing. Not really, but it might feel like that to you compared to what you're used to. If you just let yourself have it and do your absolute best to have the intention to be as loving as you can to the people that you deal with, you will move through it and you will move back into equilibrium, right? You go through a refeeding. You in order to reset the body to not live in survival and restriction, you almost need to like overeat just to have your brain relax. Well, when you've had no boundaries, you need to maybe over boundary even. You need to and you need to hold the boundary, and maybe even communicate with like some of your dearest friends. Like, I'm so sorry that it might seem like I'm being cold or that I'm not giving you as much time as usual, but I just feel so depleted when I get too involved in what you're going through. I'm so sorry. In the future, I really hope to be more available for you, but right now I just can't. There's always a loving way to say something. And if their soul is meant to be in your life, they will applaud you. So when you heal from that, you might appear narcissistic. When I started claiming my mastery, gosh, people called me arrogant. You know what? I'm okay with it. Selfish, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. It's for me to say that I'm okay with that. I feel like that's like evidence that I've healed. I'm like, you know what? Okay. I know my intention and I know that I mean well, but it's just time for me to care about myself as much as I've cared about other people. So, I hope this is helpful and I hope you have a beautiful day.